What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Friggin Nerd Mike here with another Lorcana video. And today I'm going to do something a little bit more meta. I made a really fun, spicy Grandpappy deck last week. This week, I want to show you guys the deck that I play the most, the deck that I run in to run with tournaments, and that is the Steel Emerald discard deck. All kind of centered around this Prince John card. But this is the deck that I have had the most games with, the most experiences with. And I'm trying to decide if it's still viable in the current meta. It was very viable when there was a lot of Ruby Amethyst control decks everywhere. But there's been a lot of meta shifting, especially with more and more steel decks showing up. There's like a version 2 of the Steel Song deck running rampant. There's a blue steel resist deck running rampant. And so a lot of the steel control elements of this Steel Emerald discard deck kind of loses its luster when there's a lot of resist and etc. Also, Steel is probably the worst matchup against this deck just because of the ability to cast Grab Your Swords, which would immediately kill Prince John and Bucky, and also the Enter the Battlefield ability of the Big Tink card, which are all things I love to do in this deck, but it is not fun to be done against me with this deck. And so I found that we've struggled quite a bit against Steel. But this is Emerald Steel discard with the Bucky. When a Floodborn character enters the battlefield, the opponent chooses and discards a card. I've run several different flavors of this. And I've been pretty stubborn up until recently of trying to run this with Relentless Beast. It is something that I even named the deck Relentless Discard. But I have since removed Beast just to see if maybe adding in another large kind of game-winning threat to the deck is better. And that is Cinderella Stouthearted, because she's Floodborn. She has a shift target, and so she kind of synergizes pretty well. And once she gets on the board, she's just really, really hard to deal with. Where Relentless Beast, once it got on the board, it pretty much, didn't survive a turn or two. So, I've been stubborn. I've been relentless with Relentless Beast on trying to make it work as an alternate win condition in this deck. And I think I'm backing off just a little bit just to try Cinderella. I've had some good success with this build so far. But I am over 60 because I can't really decide what else to take out of the deck. And so comments below, what shouldn't I have in this deck? I have reasons for a lot of these cards. I like the Flynn Rider on turn 1, just to have a turn 1 presence that can survive with 3 willpower there to get a couple early lore. Bucky, of course, is pretty critical in this deck. I've got 2 of the first chapter Flynn Riders. This goes really well with the discard strategy because he not only quests for 2, but if you try to challenge him, you must discard. It helps. But is he necessary? Maybe not. Maybe not. Had a lot of suggestions on adding in Bippity Boppity Boo into this build, and after playing with it for a little bit, even though it's uninkable, and I'm pretty much at my uninkable limit, I'm able to squeeze 3 copies of this in because it is pretty powerful, especially if I can pair her on turn 5 with a Lucifer, and then have a 3-cost character sing this card. I can potentially have the opponent discard 4 cards in 1 turn, which, if there's a Prince John on the board, that's a lot of fun for me. Hypnotize, I have 4 copies, maybe too many, maybe not. I can't decide. You are able to get an extra card draw out of this, which helps. So if you have a Prince John, again, you get 2 cards in the draw instead of just 1. Prince John is the goat, not the Merlin goat, but the lion goat here in this deck. the greatest of all time in this deck. He is the greediest of all, and he helps so much in this deck. Pretty critical to have 4 copies of him to try to get him out early. Donald Duck, Floodborn. That's why he's there. I have found myself inking him probably more than playing him, mainly because I'm always like, sometimes I don't want to give the opponent an extra card each turn. But if I have discard elements in play, then it does help to have a discard target. Flynn Rider is very useful as a late game win condition when that opponent's hand is empty. Boom, he quests for 4. I've had multiple times where I have closed out the game very quickly with Flynn Rider on the board. He's evasive as well, so pretty fun for the opponent to try to figure out how to deal with him. I just have 2 copies of him. 2 copies of Lucifer, and I hate this because he's one of my favorite cards in the deck, but again, it's uninkable, so it's really tough to run a lot of these copies of cards. When he comes into play, I potentially have the opponent discard 2 cards. Huge advantage for me. And I have 2 copies of Ray in this deck. 1, he quests for 3. Awesome. 2, he's a 3/3 evasive threat. He really helps me get presence on the board when the opponent's playing Ruby Amethyst or any Ruby deck, really, and they play the 1/3 3-drop mini that has evasive. This pretty much shuts her down immediately. And so if I am playing Ruby, I do tend to keep this card in my hand. If I'm not playing Ruby, I tend to ink it or maybe hold it for late game for some quick evasive lore gain. Pairs really well if I have the Flynn Rider biggest fan. 4 lore there with Ray on the board as well. That's 7 lore per turn. That's evasive. Pretty solid, but again, maybe not necessary. Kind of a utility card just because of the evasive mini. I got Cinderella in here to help me maybe filter through or loot through my uninkables, but also as a shift target for Big Cinderella. And then again, that evasive mini is kind of a win con to some degree, at least in Ruby decks. This Jafar works in 2 ways. Works as an evasive killer on my turns, which helps against the mini. But it also works as a potential shift target to the bigger Jafar, which I am running. I have barely ever shifted into that bigger Jafar, though, with this small Jafar. Benja, pretty much a must-have 2 of in each steel deck because you have a lot of items floating around right now in the metagame. 4 smashes, maybe too much. I don't know. But 3 damage for 3 ink. 3 guaranteed damage for 3 ink is nice. Strength of the Raging Fire, a song that is 3 ink. So it can be sung, which is nice. And I tend to have at least 3 folks on the board when I want to play this. So it is nice to have a singable smash. It is not nice, though, after somebody plays Grab Your Swords and clears my board, and then it's dead in my hand. So I have 3 copies. I feel like I'm leaning more towards smash, but they're pretty much the same. Strength is great as a song. Smash is great without any conditions, just doing 3 damage. 2 copies of the small Tink, again, helps me loot. Shift target for Big Tink. Big Jafar, 4-drop Jafar, 3/4 that lets me draw cards every time he kills things. Also Floodborn. He's usually the first Floodborn I get out after Bucky. So he does some work. Jafar does a lot of work in this deck. I really like Jafar where he fits in. Because I usually can get 2 cards at least off of him if I have a Prince John and a Bucky out on turns 2 and 3. Bucky gets me a draw card, or gets me to discard a card, me draw a card as soon as I play Jafar. Then Jafar can usually kill something before he dies, so I get another card out of him. Beast, Sad Beast, Emo Beast, 4 of. Don't even have to talk about this card. It's just smash add. I have only 2 copies of Grab Your Sword. Again, uninkable problem. There's a lot of uninkables in this deck, but it is nice to draw into this and have the ability to potentially board wipe some smaller creatures. 4 of the Big Tink. Again, one of the MVPs from the first chapter. 1 damage to everything when it comes into play, and I'm able to clear the board pretty well with her, as well as potentially quest with her if needed. And then already talked about it, added some Cinderella copies into this build. Really, really tough to deal with late game. So she's done well when I've added her in. Look, everybody, I'll admit it. She's better than Relentless Beasts. I am sad to say it. Relentless Beast is probably one of my favorite cards from Rise of the Floodborn. So I was trying to make them work, but the ability for her to be a Floodborn, to fire off Bucky's ability, maybe discard a card, drop a 5/5 on the board with resist 2 is very tough to deal with. So that's the build. Again, there's three more or 3 cards over 60. So if you see something in here like, why the heck is he running that card? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to run a version of the deck that you may suggest. So let's go ahead and jump into some games. Let's see how this does. I'm very interested to see. I've done fairly well with this build, but it is pretty tough in the meta right now because of the steel matchups. But let's see. Let's hop into some games. Alrighty, here we go. Jumping into a game here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see who we're matched up against. Could be interesting. Oh, we're going against some aggro. Aggro could be interesting. It does take a few turns for us to get the discard set up. So it might be better just to have some early game threats here. So I might actually throw away these. My normal approach would be definitely turn 2 Bucky, turn 3 Prince John. But I think I want to stay low to the ground and just have some the ability to remove some threats here. That's not how this deck plays. What am I doing? I am going to go with this. Let's see. Let's just try to get some discard going. It's tough to know the approach you want to go each game. Because I do have the ability to be pretty controlling due to the steel side of this deck. But the emerald side does help to get stuff discarded. All right, so let's go ahead and get our Flynn Rider out on turn 1. Probably the ink target here. I want to keep small tink just in case I draw into big tink, because a turn 4 Floodborn big tink does everything I want to do. Controls the board and makes them discard due to Bucky. So let's just see if we luck out and grab a big tink in the next few turns. They're drawing some cards, thanks to Cinderella. I feel like I don't often see the singer Cinderella in this build of aggro. But let's see. I think I am going to toss this. Nah, I'll go ahead and toss the Jafar. Just to have the option if I want to continuously discard things for them. I have it with giving them cards in hand due to Donald. Let's just quest. I can't kill Flynn. I can't kill their Cinderella. Probably going to put a bodyguard for this Lilo or bounce the Lilo back after they quest. Let's see what they do here. Oh, Arthur. Pretty good card here. Probably going to smash him next turn just to get him out of the game. Because he can generate a ton of lore for them. Well, I do have a big target for shifting, but I already already passed back the small Cinderella here for the big one, and I think I'm gonna just ink her due to the fact that we're only on turn 3. Yeah, I'm gonna just kill their Arthur just to get him out of the game. And again, quest with Flynn. Cinderella's interesting to potentially kill, but I don't want to lose my Bucky. Next turn I have the option to either play Prince John so I can make sure I get some card draw when I make them discard. Or I can just make them discard before Prince John. I feel like I want to get the card draw, so I'm probably going to play Prince John next turn. Yep, they're going to toss back the Lilo to their hand. Makes sense. Good play. And bring her back. Another smash. Yeah, I feel like the value here to control some of their bigger threats. Probably what I want to be doing right now. Have not run into Big Tink yet, so probably just going to go ahead and ink the Tink. And quest again. At some point, I'm thinking about that Cinderella. It'd be nice to get her off the board, but I've taken more of a control approach here. Might not be... Oh, they have discard! They have discard in this deck. Very interesting. I think I've got to keep the Jafar. I think I lose the Prince John here, only because it's uninkable. And, you know, Jafar does offer me some card draw once I get him on the board and killing things. They're also running out of cards. So this Jafar next turn is going to help big time because they do lose whatever is in their hand. A big Tink. Of course the big Tink shows up after I've inked the small Tink. And unfortunately, just so I can be able to play some other things. Yeah, I've got to stay on curve here. I'm going to just go ahead and ink her. Play the Jafar out. They have to discard that card in hand. I can kill their Lilo with Flynn. And pass the turn. They had a Merlin. They just played a Merlin. And a Stitcheroo. Alright, so what you gonna do here? They could just wait. And now I've got a Tinkerbell. I wish I could play her right now. That would have been great. But I can't. And so... I'm just going to keep her in hand, so if I get something that I can ink, I can start taking care of the board a little bit more. And due to the fact that they don't have much in hand, I'll keep Bucky. I'm going to keep Bucky unexerted just in case they do get some card draw on this turn. Because then I can... Big Tink is also a Floodborn, so she will generate some card draw. I'm sorry, discard. She would generate the discard, not card draw. Yep, so they're killing my Jafar, which is fine. I'm okay with them losing some stuff on board. Oh, they're gonna bounce? They're gonna bounce my Flynn. Alright. No cards in hand, so can't make them discard. Well, that's interesting. Not interesting enough to not play Big Tink, though. And so, I am going to keep it. I'm going to keep it, though. Lose the Flynn. Play the Tink. Kill their Lilo. And honestly, I kind of feel like I want to kill... So they don't have a shift target for Cinderella. I'm going to give them the option. I'm going to quest here and give them the option. If they want to kill my Bucky, they lose either Cinderella or Stitch. Oh, and then the Mim. The Rush Mim. That's the one thing I thought of. Is the only thing that could screw me up here. But I will be able to kill the Mim pretty quick. It would be really nice if they quest with the Stitch, too, because... Unless they don't attack in. They're not attacking in. Interesting. Okay. Lucifer's nice, but no cards in hand, so it doesn't really help me there, but I would love to get rid of their Madam Mim with Strength of the Raging Fire. And so I think I might play Lucifer just to get 3 on board, and then sing Strength of the Raging Fire with Tink. Because then they are really out of resources here. And pass it, because their Cinderella can kill Bucky now. Score is 6-11. Pinocchio. Great threat for questing. So they're at 16. They're going to try to race me here, it looks like. So I'm going to start questing myself. We are going to be neck and neck here. Once they exert something, though, stuff goes down with Tinkerbell. And being able to control the board with this deck early on, I think, has helped a ton. Let's see what they're going to play here. Maybe something to bounce Pinocchio back to hand. Yep, with the Madam Mim. Oh, and they can actually take out Big Tink now. Okay. Oh, they don't. Oh, they've got the win on board. That's why. They've got the win on board without giving me a target to hit and just the Flynn Rider in hand. They've got the win on the board. Well, that's just disappointing because I felt very much in control of that game. So yeah, I'm just going to pass it back to them. They get the game, unfortunately. It's harsh. I am doing math right? 6, yeah. That's 20. That's tough. That's tough. They played that really well. They played it really smart. And they're very lucky I didn't draw into another Tink or a Grab Your Sword. Unfortunate. Let's go to game 2. Shall we? Let's go to game 2. That was very unfortunate. Oh, okay. Ruby Amethyst control deck. This discard deck was built to take down this Ruby Amethyst control deck. But I still struggle. It's still very much a chess match. Some of these cards are nice. Some of these cards are nice. But I'm going to throw back some things. Okay, we're getting some Floodborns and some Prince Johns. Okay, so we're looking fairly set up here. Not too worried about items in this deck. They might run the spellbook. But I'm normally not too intimidated by the spellbook. I say that now. Watch me lose to this. It has won games against me for sure. But I am much more intimidated by Ursula's, Elsa's, Maleficent's, Be Prepared. So I want to discard as much as I can. Again, the little Tink I think is the one that goes because my turn 2 and turn 3 is pretty mapped out for me with Bucky and Prince John. Quest with the Flynn and pass it. If I can get Bucky and Prince John out, I feel pretty good, and then especially if I can draw into a Lucifer. Purple Ruby usually has quite a bit of cards in hand. Yeah, I feel like losing this is fine. For now. Play the Prince John. So I've got my discard suite out. And now I have at least 2 Floodborns in hand and a Hypnotize in hand. So they will have to discard some cards. Starting next turn. And the goal of this is to try to make them discard as much as possible before turn 7. Because they have that Be Prepared, which completely just wrecks this entire setup. Let's see. So I think I'm going to play the Big Jafar here. Make them discard. I get to draw a card. Yes, please. Oh, Big Tink definitely helps. There's the spell book. There's the spell book they discarded. They may have another one in hands, but it is nice to see that I don't have to worry about it. Now the question is, do I want to play Donald Duck next turn? Because they already have so much card draw on the other side of the table. Do I want to give them another card? Does it help me to have another card? Probably. But I did get another Jafar, so I think I'm gonna snag that one. Ink that one. Get this out. They no longer are questing with this mini because they know I can kill it with Jafar and gain a card. Draw another card. Ooh, yeah, that's a good card. Lady Tremaine is very fun to see in the discard pile. And that's fine. I'll go ahead and quest. Get that lore in. I do not want to quest with Prince John and Bucky. Some folks may not understand why I'm not questing with them, especially aggro players. They pretty much are there as like totems or enchantments on the board on my side to allow me to do the things I want to do in discard. If I quest with them, they're exerted and they're vulnerable, so then they can kill them. They only have 1 and 2 willpower. So, all right, well, they're gonna kill my Jafar with Madam Mim, but we'll do an even trade. But it prevents me from being able to draw with Jafar, which is sad. But I've got another one. And I've got another Floodborn about to drop onto the table. The question is... well, let's see what I draw here. Oh, they decided to quest to bounce. Okay. Makes sense. Another Tink. Another Tink. I feel, because I've got the Bucky Prince John suite out, I feel like just inking Hypnotize currently is the best bet, because I can continuously, at least for the next 2 turns, make them discard a card. And I'll go ahead and play Beast out just to get the card draw, additional card draw, while I can. Make them discard. With Bucky, I will take a card. Flynn, ink material. Alright, so they're not really discarding a good threat there with Minnie. That's fine. Again, I'm just going to quest as I've been. And I could play Flynn out. Do I play Flynn out? I feel like... I mean, I will just get 1 lore essentially from him, because they probably have a Be Prepared. But I don't know, maybe having options for Lady Tremaine. I probably should have kept it, now that I'm thinking about it, because of Lady Tremaine coming in on turn 6 with maybe nothing, or at least after the Be Prepared and having nothing on the board. Having a Flynn Rider to decide to sacrifice is much better than a Tink. So probably could have kept it. That's a misplay on my part. Okay. Now this is where it gets fun. I drew the combo that I love in this deck. Bippity Boppity with a Lucifer. And I've got targets to be able to sing Bippity Boppity. It sounds so great. And so I'm going to do that. They're about to discard probably their entire hand, which is very nice because I get to draw cards. So we're going to play a Lucifer. They've got to discard 1 action card or 2 of any card. So this is very good targets for Be Prepared. Get that out of their hand. All right, so only discarded once. They definitely discarded an action, and it was Be Prepared. Thank you. And now I'm going to sing. Who wants to sing it, though? Probably Jafar? Let's just sing it with Jafar. Jafar is going to sing Bippity Boppity, pull Lucifer back to my hand, and then I'm going to play Lucifer again. They have to discard either 1 action card or 2 of any card again. It really... it really wrecks the game for a control player when they don't have cards in their hand to control things. And thus why the discard deck was created. That was a very, very good example of that bippity boppity combo with Lucifer on one turn. It really just throws their control game off. So good example. I was glad I was able to show that on a recording. That was fun. All right, let's go to one more game. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's go into a game here. Oh, playing Ruby Amethyst. Let's go. Ruby Amethyst for a second time. Really want the Bucky in my opening hand. I love having some of these cards, but honestly, I'm gonna throw everything back but the Jafar and the Prince John in hopes that I'm able to get a Bucky. Come on, Bucky! No Bucky. No Bucky! All right, so it's even more important that I keep some of these straight discard cards, which I don't have currently. So I do have a big Tink on turn 4, though, which is nice. I think just for utility purposes, I'm going to throw the Smash away. Play the Flynn. This is going to be an interesting round, mainly because I'm shifting away from discard, which I don't want to do against a Ruby Amethyst matchup. I want to make them discard constantly. So unless I draw into a Bucky here, I'm going to be moving closer and closer to a turn 4 Tink. Turn 4 Tink and then a turn 5 Beast is good. So not much room for Jafar. Not much room for Jafar. Yeah, I'll go and draw. Oh, Bippity's good. Honestly, I think I may discard the Prince John. No, I think I'm going to just do the Bippity. That's a really close call there on what to discard. But it was one of the two uninkables for sure. But Prince John might come into handy. Uh-oh. They're going to kill my Cindy. Not Cinderella. Anything with 2 willpower is really, really hard to play right now. If it doesn't have ward or something like that. Because of the rise of Steel, because Steel and Ruby both have really early plays that do 2 damage really easily. So anything, guess what I'm saying? Anything with 2 willpower early game is unfortunately a really fast target. There's another Bippity that helps. However, it does not help that I have to ink the Beast, which I wanted to play on turn 5. If I want to play Tinkerbell now, I've got to ink the Beast. I don't want to, but I have to. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And we're going to play a Shift Tinkerbell, which feels good. Takes out their Olaf, 1 damage on Minnie. And we've got a really early Tinkerbell. I might be able to bippity boppity her, depending on what they play. Cusco. What happened there? Did they ink the Cusco or did they play the Cusco? That was confused. I don't know what just happened. All right, so I'm going to be questing for sure. And I would love to play the Jafar, but I've got to keep getting ink in my hand. And so I'm probably going to do the ink the Jafar, play Prince John, just as in case I start to be able to play some discard, I will start to get some card draw. It's going to be really interesting when we get to my turn 7. I think I was on the play. My turn 7, because I might Bippity Tinkerbell to my hand just to avoid the be prepared. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still confused on what happened on the last turn on their side. If they played the llama or not. Oh, they're getting antsy over there. They're getting antsy that I'm getting some lore. I think I want to play the Cinderella just as a shift target. Maybe to draw them out. Oh, I can also loot here. Ooh. Because I'm playing control here, the Ruby Amethyst deck, it's tough to get their hand down to 0. So Flynn Rider might be the loot option here. Again, I have the ability to replay a Tinkerbell, which is nice. Their Merlin, they can actually kill Tink next turn with Merlin and Minnie. So now the question is, do I go ahead and bippity boppity her now? Kill the Minnie. So yeah, I'm going to quest, get the 2 lore. Then I'm just going to hard cast bippity boppity to pull Tinkerbell back to my hand. Play the big Tink back out. Kill their Minnie. And then I can also ink this Tinkerbell, which is nice. And pass it. So that allowed me to make it to where Merlin can't actually attack into my Tinkerbell. Because she would have been exerted otherwise. So that was nice. I was able to kill off her Minnie as well to stop her from questing. Lady Tremaine, definitely going to target Cinderella there. And I might go ahead and kill the Merlin. Well, there's Flynn. I kind of want to keep Flynn, though, because of the threat of be prepared this turn. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to kill the Merlin. Get 2 damage on Tremaine. Yep, they get 1 for the Merlin dying. And then, I'm just going to quest with John just to keep the pressure on there because I'm probably about to lose him to the be prepared. If they quest early... Oh! They were like, no, I'd rather kill the Prince John. Okay, so no be prepared's being played. But they did clear my board. So playing around the be prepared is tough too. That be prepared, man, it's just like... It's tough. Oh, I get a Prince John back. So they probably have another Lady Tremaine. Why is that not going to their discard? Oh, it's in their hand. That's right. It is in their hand because they bounced it back. So I don't want them to be able to kill... I mean, if I played one thing, they could play Lady Tremaine and make me sacrifice that one thing. If I'm able to play 2 things, then I can protect it, This is beginning to look like a rough end game for me here. Flynn Rider's pretty much blanked. Prince John is... I'm not getting any just straight discard cards at the moment. Strength of the Raging Fire is a dead card in my hand because I have nothing out. And I know that they've got a Lady Tremaine. So unfortunately, they probably have a pair of Lady Tremaines with all these cards in their hand, and I haven't seen one other than that one. And so now it's like, bro, do I put these out to just die back to back to Lady Tremaines? I mean, I played around the be prepared. This is so hard. I hate playing against Ruby Amethyst once I get to turn 7 or 8. Yeah, I've got to just play it out. I know that they've got a Tremaine. Probably gonna just sacrifice my Flynn to the Tremaine. But if they have a second Tremaine, then this turn was terrible. But I'm known for these turns, you know? And Ursula comes down out of nowhere. Yeah, Flynn Rider is pretty much just a dead card at the moment. Can't do any questing. Only hits for 2. Only has 3 health. I need a I win the game card in the next couple turns to feel good about where I'm at the moment. I don't have Beast out to get 2 cards. I don't have Donald out to get 2 cards. This is where I'd want a Donald in play, to be able to get 2 cards on my turn, to be able to draw into something. I'm not even entirely sure what I want to draw into right now. Cinderella would be huge. I have enough ink to drop her down if I get her. That would help out a ton. They may have forgot to pass the turn. I felt good up until the last turn about where this game was heading. But here we are. This is Lorcana, everybody. These are very competitive matchups too. Very competitive meta matchups for you guys to see in this video. Even if I lose all of these, it's still fun to watch the back and forth and watch my side of the screen here to figure out what's in my brain as I'm playing discard. And yeah, I think they just forgot to pass the turn because I don't know if they have much to play here with 1 ink. Gonna be running out of time. I don't know. Maybe they've stepped away from the computer or lost connection. This is not a good sign. Did I lose connection? What's happening here? All right, let me try to restart the game. Let me see what happens if I restart. Well, I'm not entirely sure what just happened. I restarted the game expecting it to say, hey, you've got a current matchup in place. Do you want to rejoin the game? I've seen it do that multiple times in the past, but this time it did not. I don't know if because I left the game, I automatically conceded. I have no idea. I was ready to see what I drew next because I did have a couple lines that that would have helped. I don't think it would have helped me enough to win the game though. But you can see if you don't have the discard options here against Ruby Amethyst early, it's really tough to keep up with them once they get past turn 6 and 7. They get those Lady Tremaines out. They're able to get those Be Prepareds out and just pretty much neutralize anything you try to play. So as a discard player, you want to just do as much discard damage per turn early as possible. And it feels really good with Lucifer being able to do that with Bippity Boppity Boo on 1 turn on turn 5. They discard potentially 4 cards from their hand. You probably will get a Be Prepared in that. You'll probably get a Lady Tremaine in that. But who knows what would have happened in that game. Let's just say I won that game, just for the sake of this video. I won. I went 2-1 in this video. I'm okay with that. I was hoping to show you more steel matchups because that is the one I struggle with the most. But maybe that can be on another update for this discard deck. Again, this is the deck I'm running in competitive tournaments online on the Lorcana Play Network. If you haven't heard of that awesome network, go check it out. Tia Booston over there hosts that. She's, I guess, Tia Beastie is her name for the Lorcana side. Go check that out. Lots of really cool folks in that community. Lots of really cool tournaments happening every other week there. and they've been free so far. So entering the tournament's been free. They've got one coming up this weekend. It's 15 to enter, but a lot of cool prizes, a lot of cool promo cards given out to the top cut. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably keep updating the discard, Steel Emerald discard for you guys. Just, it is my favorite deck to play. I don't know why it is. I don't like being super controlling, but it seems to really hamper Ruby Amethyst, and I don't like the Ruby Amethyst decks. So I tried to find something that has the best matchup against them. And the way the meta is shifting, I don't know if that's consistently going to be the best matchup anymore. But here we are. Emerald's my favorite ink. I love Tinkerbell. So I'm running Emerald Steel. So we'll see what happens as the meta keeps changing, especially with the new set coming out in March. It's going to be insane. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay friggin' nerdy, everybody. See you on the next one.